2014, or actually brewed 2013. It's an old beer. That's cool.
So, hallo und herzlich willkommen zur nächsten Aufgabe von Beer Lovers Drink at Home. Heute Abend ist es so, dass wir, ich glaube, den bekanntesten und den speziellsten Gast bis jetzt an Land gezogen haben. Und es ist, ja, wenn ich ganz ehrlich bin, bin ich etwas nervös heute, aber das ist auch gut so, denn desto bekannter die Gäste werden, desto mehr Adrenalin kommt natürlich auch bei mir. Und es freut mich wirklich sehr, dass wir Martin Dickie dazu bewegen konnten, dass wir heute gemeinsam mit ihm natürlich viele Fragen beantworten können und natürlich auch Biere verkosten können. Ganz kurz für diejenigen, die zum ersten Mal dabei sind. In euren Paketen waren diese Verkostnotizen drinnen, wo ihr ganz genau seht, welche Biere verkostet werden. Genauso seht ihr die Reihenfolge, wie wir die Biere verkosten. Dann natürlich ein paar Worte zu Martin, ein paar Worte zu mir. Und dann gibt es wieder diesen Verkostungsbogen, wo ihr euch ganz einfach Notizen machen könnt zu den verschiedenen Bieren, Vorderseite und Rückseite. Und jetzt würde ich sagen, wir machen das heute ziemlich flott, denn Martin hat nicht viel Zeit, aber er nimmt sich die Zeit für uns. Und jetzt würde ich sagen, wir switchen wieder zu Englisch. Und I would say, hello Martin. Nice to have you on board for this tasting tonight and welcome on the Beer Lovers channel.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, that's nice to hear. So Martin, before we start with the first beer, maybe you can tell us a few words about you, what you did in the past, where you started, when you started, and why you started together with James.
Sure. So a little bit about me. Okay, Martin Dickie is my name, from northeast of Scotland, and with James now we've been running BrewDog since 2007. Before that, getting into beer, just briefly, originally I wanted to make whiskey, not beer, so I went to college to study distilling, and the course I studied is brewing and distilling. So during my time there, I got more in love with the brewing side than the distilling side. So when I graduated, I wanted to be a brewer afterwards. So that would have been 2004. 2005, I got a job down in England in a new brewery which just started called Thornbridge Hall, which was the sister brewery of Kellam Island in Sheffield. So the Kellam Island Brewery was very famous in 2004 because it won the Great British Beer Festival Champion Beer of Britain. So I was very lucky to get into this, the sister brewery of the, at that time, the best brewer in Britain. So I was able to learn a lot quite quickly, and because it was a new brewery, I was able to come up with new beers for them. I was only employee for the first 6 months, so I was doing everything from making beer, delivering beer, selling beer, cleaning.
Okay.
The time anyway, so that was kind of fun. So I did that for 2 years. During that time, James came down to visit a lot. He was a fisherman in Scotland at that time, so he came down every other month to hang out and drink beer down in England with me. And I've known him since high school, so we've been friends since we were, I don't know, 11, 12, something like that. So during the time down in England, we thought, it's not so difficult to make beer and run a brewery. So we thought, why not give it a go up in Scotland, and then, no one would be our boss and we could do what we liked. We're really intrigued by beers. The two beers, I think, for me, that we both tried when we were in Edinburgh at college at the same time, 2000 to 2004, were Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which was incredible from the hop side in terms of, a really unusual sort of bitterness, fruitiness flavor coming from a beer, which wasn't really a thing in the UK at that time. And then also trying Cantillon Rose de Gambrinus, which again was a very unusual flavor for a Scottish beer drinker. So those were the two sort of pivotal beers, I think, in very early on for me, that made me, you know, fall in love with beer and make me want to make beer for forever. So yeah, that was the start. I've got a few pictures I can show you of very early
Perfect.
brewery. I think I can do this. I'm not massively tech savvy, but I'm probably good enough to do this. Let's try.
Yeah. For sure, you will be good enough to do this. But the most important thing is brewing, and that's.
Okay. Let me know if you can see what I've got on the screen.
Yeah, I can see.
I need to rewind. It's just a couple of pictures from very early on. So this is our logo from more or less the start. If you follow James on Instagram, he's been posting some of the very, very early logos, but this was the one that we settled on with in 2007 as the representation of the company. A few things I think stand out. One was the name. You know, we really didn't know what to call the brewery at the start. We were, you know, we had lots of names that were pretty shit, to be honest. You know, Lighthouse Brewery, Fraserburgh Brewery, Highland Brewery, blah, 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 all very generic Northeast Scotland type things, Windy Golf Course Brewery, whatever. And we hated all of them, but we couldn't think of anything better. So it was kind of by chance that when we moved back home, you know, James was living with his dad and I was staying at home with my mum, and because of that, when we had our names on the floor of James's garage, and we're like, how, you know, what do we call the brewery? Is it going to be Lighthouse Brewery or Windy Golf Course Brewery? And luckily his dad had a small chocolate lab puppy at that time called Bracken, and he was jumping all over our rubbish names on the floor. And, you know, that kind of brought a smile to our face, and that, you know, it's a dog and it's cute and it's having fun. So then we thought, you know, great, you know, something that brings a smile to your face is a dog, and you know, another thing that brings a smile to your face is beer. So, you know, how do we combine these two things? And it's kind of irreverent and doesn't really mean anything, but at the same time, you know, maybe that's the whole point, is it doesn't really have to mean anything. It's just a nice two words together that can mean something as we build the business. So that's kind of where the BrewDog came from. In terms of the logo, it was a local company that put that together for us. You know, they had, again, a whole heap of ones for us to look at, and we didn't like any of them. And then there was a very young designer, you know, plucked up enough courage at the end to say, well, I've been working on some myself at home. So he showed us some of his ones, and you know, that was the one that worked the best. And I think probably because, you know, he was a similar age to us as well, so kind of resonated where we were. You know, the sort of slightly distressed look on the logo was very similar to the distressed pair of diesel jeans that James was wearing at the time. So it fitted this very nicely at the time, so that was cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and then at the start, you know, we didn't really have much to prove, so, you know, we're all about just making great beer, and if that was the foremost thing in what we're doing. This is a very old presentation, but I found it earlier on today that has some old photos, so that would be quite cool to look at. And that's Bracken, that's the dog that once he was a bit older, but the dog that generated the name.
Okay.
But yeah, this is well, this photo here is actually maybe 2008. I think there's an earlier photo after. So this is, you know, probably February, March 2007 in Fraserburgh when we were just setting up. So we had this. You see the brew house. Can you see this pointer? Yeah. Yeah. So the brew house here wasn't a state-of-the-art Siemens system or a Rolex system or a GEA system.
You have to start somewhere.
This system here was fabricated by a blacksmith who had never really worked with stainless steel before, but he thought he would give it a go.
Really?
So it's like a super simple two-vessel system. You know, it's just a big. It's got a slightly insulated mash tun with a sieve plate on the bottom, and then you can see the kettle here, which has got the big electric elements in the side. And again had a small plate on the bottom to hold back the whole hops, you know, right back at the start. That's a hot water tank here. Our little cold water tank was sitting up here on top of the toilet. And these were our 4 fermenters, which we were super proud of, that came from Velo in Italy.
Okay. But that was really the first brew kit.
This was the first, outside of home brewing size stuff in my mom's garage, this was the original kit. So all the pipe work, you can't really see it, but in behind here, all the cooling system was done by me. All the electrics were done by James. Luckily, the electrics were not these ones. This was 3-phase. He did the single-phase stuff, but he managed to electrocute himself twice in one day and fall off a ladder as well. So probably that ladder fell off. So yeah, this was right back at the start. I mean, the place looked quite nice there because we spent a whole week repainting the floor. It was all really shitty looking. So we painted the floor nice blue and the grey as well to designate the working areas,
Cool. Back in 2007, 2008, how many breweries you had in Scotland?
2007. So in 2007, there would have been probably in Scotland about, I want to say 50. I think 50. Maybe 50 is high, but I think it's 50. Lots of small microbreweries.
Already you had some small microbreweries. Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's bullshit.
No.
Sounds a lot.
Can be. It was only a question, so it doesn't matter. But do you know anyone who started in the same year or around 2007, 2008, 2009, which is still working in Scotland?
In Scotland, around the same time, I mean, I'm not sure. There wasn't really anyone right at the same time as us. There were some that existed already, like Harveston, Cairngorm, Inveramond, Williams Brothers. Actually, it's probably more like 15 breweries, not 50.
Not 50.
Yeah. In the UK, I think around 200 in total. So quite a lot in the UK.
Yeah.
Now in the UK, 2,000.
Okay. And in Scotland?
Maybe 50. Maybe that's where the...
Maybe that's the number now.
Not sure.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So yeah, look at that. That's what they're wrapping off. Looked amazing. Okay. So this is first. Actually, do you want to taste the beer instead of? We've got lots of beer to taste.
Yeah, we can start.
Try with what?
The Bunk, the non-alcoholic.
Okay, let's do Bunk non-alcoholic.
To start with.
Cheers. Excuse the OverWorks glass. That's all I have.
It's okay. So the first beer.
Yeah, so the first beer is Punk AF, alcohol-free punk. Let's taste first.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, so I mean, the key things for us with the non-alcoholic beer is, packing as much flavor in there as possible. It's quite difficult to pack a lot of flavor in a non-alcoholic beer. So with this one, we basically use all the hops that we use in punk and put that in. So that's where all the hop flavors come from. The thing with the way we make our non-alcoholic beers in total is that we only brew them up to that alcohol percentage. So it's just under 0.5% alcohol. So there's not a whole load of malt goes in there. It's roughly a tenth of what would be in Punk IPA. So all the hops, a tenth of the malt. So we also use a little bit of lactose in the Punk AF, just to keep a little bit of residual sweetness in there. Because what we find is it gets super, super dry. And then obviously the lactose is unfermentable sugar with Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So it keeps a nice bit of body in the beer as well. Unfortunately, it's not vegan friendly, but that's something we're working on at the moment, is how we find an alternative to the lactose that we use currently. If you go through the range, then Nanny State has no lactose in it, so that's still vegan. The rest of the non-alcoholic beers we make, the Hazy AF and the Wake Up Call, are both
with lactose.
Small amount of lactose, so they're not suitable. Yeah, the great thing about... Sorry, on you go, Markus.
How you produce the non-alcoholic? You stop fermentation, or is there a special yeast strain you're using, or how you make it?
Yeah, so it's very simple, but it's very difficult to get right. So we just ferment it. It's like a micro fermentation. So it's only fermenting those, it's less than 1 Plato fermentation, very small fermentation. So it's really, really tricky to get right, but we spent a long time working on it. So we want a few things. We want the fermentation to happen, so you're getting rid of the kind of warty flavor of the beer and making it taste like beer. At the same time, we want the hops to interact a little bit with the yeast and kick off some of those sort of nice fruity esters as well. So it's fairly difficult to get right, but we've spent a long time practicing it and hopefully getting it spot on. The great thing about the way we make this is that we're brewing the beer to what we want it to be, as opposed to pretty much every other non-alcoholic beer. Is they'll start with a mother beer that's whatever 5% alcohol to strip the alcohol out. But when you strip the alcohol out, you also strip out so much of the flavor as well, because all the flavor compounds are super volatile. So if you're stripping out alcohol, you're also stripping out the stuff that's volatile before alcohol. So it's very what you end up with is with a non-alcoholic base product that you then have to add loads of flavoring and stuff back to make it taste like beer again. So it's not a great way to make it. And in terms of environmental standpoint, you're using the ingredients to make a 5% beer. You're pulling all that out. You're then adding more energy to strip all that out. So it's a very inefficient way to make a beer. So we like the way we do it super well. It's not 0.0% alcohol, but it's under 0.5, so it falls under the alcohol-free category. And if you compare it to a ripe banana, a orange juice, or a piece of bread that's a few days old, then there's equal amounts of alcohol in those things as well. So there's no physiological impact on a human with 0.5% alcohol. You'll never drink enough to impair you, for example. The interesting thing is that because of all the hop compounds in there, especially if it's super hoppy, if you drink enough of it, you will feel a bit weird, but it's coming from the hops. The alcohol, which is fun.
Cool. There is this first non-alcoholic bar in London. So back before coronavirus started, you opened the first non-alcoholic bar. So tell us a little bit, was it a success?
Yeah.
People were surprised that something was happening like this?
Yeah, it's a really cool space. Unfortunately, it's currently closed, as are most of our bars. But in terms of a space, and I think probably at the moment with where things are, you need a city like London to be able to sustain a non-alcoholic bar. But in terms of the concept and what we wanted to achieve with it, it's a great place to showcase non-alcoholic products. It's also we had so much great feedback from people who maybe still had issues in the past with either with alcohol or with other drugs, whatever. And if you're living completely sober now, it's quite often still very difficult for people to go into a regular bar and stand beside their friends who are having a beer or a whiskey or whatever. Whereas in that environment, when there's no temptation at all other than some really nice flavorful non-alcoholic drinks, then with so many people that were super happy that they could now go out to a bar environment, with their friends and have a few drinks. So it's really nice. And then also in terms of just general moderation now, I think everyone's trying to live a little bit better than they were 5 years ago. So having that ability, I guess with AF in general, but one place on your stop for the night when you're visiting a few bars, it's great. Somewhere in the middle there, have a hangout session for a bit, rehydrate a little bit with a couple of beers that are non-alcoholic, and then continue on your tour. So it's some really in the daytime when people want to have meetings and have a beer that isn't a beer. It's a great way to do that as well.
That's true. I completely agree. And one question to the bar: will it be open the rest of the year, or was it only more or less like a pop-up, or will it be when coronavirus is gone and hopefully everything gets back to normal? Will it then be open again?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right beside our London office, so it's the favourite hangout for our sales team.
Okay, that's perfect. Cool. And generally, is non-alcoholic something that you guys see maybe as a game changer for the future? Will that be a big category?
I think it's going to be an ever-increasing sized category. In the UK, it's a big thing, and every year becomes a slightly bigger piece. Depending on the demographic and how younger people are choosing to spend their time now. Then generally there is a trend towards less alcohol generally, but people still want to have great experiences and hang out with friends, and it's just that beer is such a fantastic drink for generally people socializing and having a good time. So if we can give people a non-alcoholic version, then we definitely want to do that. And to be honest, getting on a little bit myself and a young family, so probably about a third of my fridge is our non-alcoholic beer range as well. I drink at home.
Okay. We also can see that and feel that in Austria,
What's that?
In Austria, there's a big impact on non-alcoholic beers, and people are really getting the clue how non-alcoholic beer can taste, compared to all these, let's say, shitty lager ones. You can get a super cool experience, with a lot of flavor and aroma, and that's something which people really surprise, because in the past, one of the best non-alcoholic lager beers, let's say, was Jever Fun, which was really one of the best ones. But now, you can get a punch out of it, And then Hazy Chain IF, it's phenomenal, that's something which was a really surprise when I tasted it for the first time. It's super beer.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're working on quite a few other things at the brewery at the moment, so hopefully over the next year the range will probably change a little bit, and what we have now is probably not where we'll end up in a few years' time, but we love the Punky. I think it's a great one for the range, and the rest will probably come in and out a little bit until we really know what the UK market wants, and then what the wider market wants as well.
Okay, cool, good, Martin. So I think we can forget to taste Punk, because I know that everyone really knows how Punk tastes, and how great this beer is, and so we can save a little bit of time.
Very sad that you guys got a tall boy and I get the little guy.
Yeah, we get the big one, which is also going phenomenal. I heard from some conversations with Ed, Ed from BrewDog, that he told me, that France is doing phenomenal. Italy is a little bit struggling. Switzerland is doing phenomenal with the big cans, and then is Austria, which is a surprise also for us. In Austria, it's really because Austria is well known for that is a really good canned market, but only for lager beers, and so BrewDog Punk was the first really IPA which we got in 0.5, and so from the first day on, it's a really big seller for us, and we are really successful. And people, that's the most important thing, people already get an understanding how an IPA should taste, and so we can see it in the numbers, and so we are happy that we got these big bombers for Austria. So
you're very lucky, because I've got the 330.
But then I would say we taste this one.
Let's do that.
Punk Funk, maybe. So, where's my glass? Here.
Okay, so we're in the correct setting for tasting this one. Let me show you.
Ah, you're sitting here. Okay, perfect.
So I'm sitting in the OverWorks.
Okay.
Nice and
Cool.
like that. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so yeah, a bit about this beer. Funky Punk is basically taking our punk. You can't see. I'll probably do some pointing. It means nothing to you, but okay. So out this side is our sour brewery. Out that side, I don't know if it'll adjust to the light. Probably not. No, you can't see. But anyway, out the other.
Okay. We can see it. It's okay.
I can show you.
Okay.
Out this side is the main brewery. It's a beautiful day in Scotland. It's about 16 degrees, so very hot.
We got today 25 in Austria. So
Much.
Sunny day, not too cold.
You look hot. It's fine.
Yeah.
So what this one is, for anyone that doesn't know, our OverWorks, which is what the OW stands for here, is our alternative fermentation brewery. So basically our sour brewery, which is located across a road from the main BrewDog production brewery. And so all the wort for the beer is made in the main production brewery. It then goes underground in a pipe across the road, back up, and comes into the OverWorks, which only ever goes in one direction. Nothing that's going to be contaminated ever goes back to the clean side. So yeah, going back to the Cantillon comment earlier on, myself and James were both heavily influenced by Cantillon. So at one point we said, when we're big, we'd really love to have a sour brewery as well. So luckily in 2016, we were able to start building the OverWorks in 2017, maybe early 2018. The first beer was released from the OverWorks. We got an awesome guy, Richard Kilcullen, who heads up what happens here. He's from Wicked Weed in America, and he's basically the dirtiest guy I know. And coming from Aberdeenshire, I know a lot of dirty people.
Okay.
But it's probably not a discussion for just now. So yeah. We've built really a really kick-ass sour beer space. So we have a cool ship for doing completely spontaneous beer, and then we have a range of other equipment in here. We've got, you can see here. I'll show you again. So we have some of these big fooders. These are pretty much all ex-Italian wine fooders. We've got the horizontal fermentation tanks at the back. We've got some fruiting tanks at the back here, and then we've also got a whole heap of barrels as well. So we can do all kinds of different stuff in here, from completely spontaneous fermentation through to very specific inoculation in stainless, or more of a combined mixed fermentation in wood over a period of time, and then using that sort of mother culture to re-inoculate future batches of beer. The Funk v Punk is taking our sort of Punk IPA base. There's a little bit more malt in there than standard Punk IPA, but just to add a little bit more of a malt base to it. Punk IPA is on the whole about purely hops with something that's got the funky side to it as well. You want a little bit more of a malt base to add a bit more sweetness in that base. So what we have here is our Punk base. It's then fermented in stainless with Brettanomyces, which is cool. So what we want here is basically taking Punk IPA, which is super hop forward, but then adding the Brett complexity to it, and that typical Brett is that sort of farmyard, horse blankety type of flavour. It's like 4EP, if you want to put a scientific name to it, but it's you know, it's that sort of funky blue cheese type, comes off horsey type aroma. But the great thing with this is the complexity you get of actually some of the super fresh hoppy flavours combining with the sort of dankness of a sort of Brett fermentation. So it's really fun because it kind of pulls what's essentially an IPA into a whole host of new flavours, which is cool. So I like this one a lot. You know, it's not sour, so it only has Brettanomyces in it. It's not mixed fermentation, but what that gives you is just that sort of very cleanness that you get from an IPA and Brett fermentation. Kind of crazy aromas, but when it comes to taste, it's pretty clean.
Yeah.
And
there's a question coming out. Sorry, Martin. There's a question coming out from Birgit. Asking, you ferment this IPA with Brettanomyces in stainless steel vessels, not in the fooders or somewhere, no?
Just in stainless.
Just in stainless. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, when it's in the, I mean, it's not such a long fermentation with just straight Brett. You know, it's very controlled. Whereas if it's mixed fermentation, when you've got, you know, for example, our Cosmic Crush series would be our sort of mother liquid, which then goes through that prolonged fermentation in our fooder, and then that's with our mixed culture, which is called Cherami. So that's two strains of Brett. It's got a strain of yeast that was isolated from Ellen. It's then got Lactobacillus and Pediococcus.
Okay.
So that's a much longer fermentation. You know, when you see those sort of classic lambic fermentation profiles, you see all the different things happening at different times, and it takes a prolonged period of time to get the flavors in balance and get a really nice tasting sour beer at the end of it. You know, if you take it too early on, it can be through like a crazy spike of one flavor compound, which is then eaten by another thing, which then turns into another one. So it's a much more complex system, whereas straight Brett is similar to, you know, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, in terms of, you know, what's going to happen. It's going to take roughly X amount of time. The thing with Brett is it eats a lot more than just standard yeast, so you end up with a very dry beer as well. That's why we wanted to add a little bit more malt into the base, just to give a bit more residual sweetness in the beer.
And how long it takes to ferment?
This one's about 2 months, I think, start to finish.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice gateway into sour.
No, really, it's a really well balanced, not too funky, not too complex. You know, really, when you want to get someone involved into sour beers, then it's a perfect entrance. You know.
Yeah.
No, it's a really good one, and it's the best-selling product out of OverWorks. Is this something you can see? Okay, people already get a little bit of an understanding what sour beer means, and then especially when it comes to punk, is it something, or is it still something, a niche in the niche?
It's an interesting question. I mean, I think overall, you know, the group set that are looking for sour beer kind of know what they're after, and they want the tartness along with the Brett. You know, they want the whole kind of complex package. But if you're a new drinker, that's like quite a lot to handle from a Dead Pony Club. So having something that's in between is a nice way to say, actually, well, it's taking your normal punk, but then there's like some of these weird flavors coming in, but they're like weird but kind of cool. So it's like the gateway. So in terms of total volume, I would say, you know, I think the mixed fermentation fruited ones are more popular. but it's a great one for in our bars for people to start explaining, what the world of sour beer is about, and be able to show, okay, well, this one's just Brettanomyces, and then this one's got the souring cultures as well. Showcase different parts of the process. And for wine drinkers, you would say, is this something? If people are more used to drink white wine for a specialty, drier white wine, something like a Riesling? Or Val drinkers, maybe. Or what? Or Val drinkers, maybe. Or wine drinkers, yeah, but then you're already quite good experience, when you have, or when you already had it a while, so then you already know what you can expect, yeah. But it's a good answer. Wow, it's quite similar. Yeah, I mean, I think generally with wine drinkers, they're used to the acidity anyway. Generally wine's fairly acidic. The sweet balances changes depending on what it is. But I think the sour category is a nice place for people who would consider them, wine drinkers who don't like beer. I think it's a great way to get in when you can go down. I mean, I was drinking one before, which is our beer mixed with Sangiovese grapes that were aged in amphora. So you can get a wine drinker in through that way for sure. That's perfect. Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of a lot of the sour beers that we're making. There's so many different things that are blended into different beers that whether it's, I don't know, whether you like chocolate or chili or bourbon or wine or whatever, there's always, blueberries, there's always something that you can catch on to and drag people in. That's true. Okay. What's next? I would say, we go to Dogma. Dogma, okay. And Dogma, tell us, are there 3 different kind of dogmas? I don't know, you're probably better telling me that one. There's definitely a couple. Because I got this one. It's Dogma, but it's only 7.4, and it's 2015, so I guess it will be brewed 2014, 2013. But it's the same beer, but with less ABV. And heather honey ale in the front, or what does it say in the front? Yeah, heather honey infused Scotch ale. Perfect. So there's 3. And then we got in this original Dogma, it was a strong ale with honey and spices. Yeah, so the original Dogma was called Speedball to start with. Yeah. So that was 2008. That was the black label with the red Dogma. That one, yes. Oh yeah. You know the answer. It's right in front of you. I'm prepared for tonight. You're testing my memory. Yeah. So the original Speedball was one. I mean, that was a beer we were just having a little bit of fun, and that was like taking a little bit of the uppers and downers of the world and mixing them together. So you've got things like the heather honey, which is a thing that's like induces calming down. You've got the alcohol, which is a sedative. You also had what else was in that? Ginseng, California poppy, ginkgo biloba. I think you can tell me if it's all there. I think that's right. So it's like it was a balance of the things that were going to lift your mood, and then the other ones that were going to bring you down. So the name Speedball refers to taking heroin and cocaine at the same time, which is the upper and downer. So you remember the complete right ingredient list and the recipe. So perfect. Good. Yeah. So I mean the it was just. I mean, everything we do is a little bit of fun. The name was a little bit of fun. Unfortunately, the newspapers and also the Portman Group didn't find calling a beer Speedball fun. So they had a go at us for that, and we had to change the name to Dogma. Okay, cool. But yeah, so there's the two versions. One's the spice version, the other one's the Scotch ale version. This is more just strictly Scotch ale. And yeah, 7.8% alcohol. But yeah, we love Scotch ales. It's a really nice beer style, especially for half of the year of Scotland when it's not 15 degrees outside. It's more like 5 and raining. It's nice. It's got a bit of alcohol heat in it. It's a nice malty drink, and the heather honey as well just adds that very characteristic note of heather honey. I don't know how you would describe it. For me, it's like smelling the inside of a dog's ear.
Of a dog's ear?
Dog's ear. Have you ever done that? It's like incredible.
No, never done this, but I will do this.
I don't know if it's all dogs or just, I've only ever had golden retrievers, so it's like the inside of a golden retriever's ear.
Okay. But you really can smell the honey, especially when it gets a little bit in temperature, a little bit higher in temperature, that the honey really comes out. First question, when you're adding the honey? When you add the honey?
So the honey goes in just at the end of the boil.
Okay.
So we need to be sure just to sterilize it, there's, again, Scottish bees aren't the cleanest bees, so.
So what then is clean in Scotland?
Not much.
Not much, okay.
Anything that's been soaked in whiskey is clean, apart from that. Yeah, it's good. I like this. A good most of the year beer. Very traditional Scottish beer style. Scotch.
Yeah. In Austria we have some honey bock beers, so it's quite similar when it comes to the ABVs. Honig bock it's called in Austria, so honey bock. It's quite interesting to see. Also especially some younger brewers decided to bring it back to the market because bock is a little bit of declining. Overall the category is going a little bit back, but now we can find some younger ones which are really getting and try to get bock back to the list, of most of the consumers. But it's hard, because most of the time people only think, you can drink bock for Christmas and for Easter and that's it, and the rest of the year you not really can drink it. But I completely agree, it's a beer you can drink also during the summer, during autumn, nothing speaks against, it's not, you can drink a lot, but you can enjoy it, And
that's nice.
Tell me why you decided to can this beer this year. Why it's in a can now?
I think generally we prefer cans to bottles overall as a company. We've invested a lot of money in our canning lines. So we have 2 canning lines in Ellen now, and we have 2 bottling lines as well. But the can is just a better
package
receptacle for beer. It's not going to break. You can post it a lot easier. You can chill them down fast in the fridge. The quality of our canning lines mean that the TPO of the total packaged oxygen of a can is almost as good as a bottle. But when we are saying almost as good, we're talking about a TPO of 40 versus 35, which are incredibly good numbers. So yeah, we love cans because they're I guess a more environmentally sustainable package for beer. They're once the aluminium's made, in terms of recyclability, it can be continuously recycled. It's also, in terms of what's recycled in our country, it's like one of the most recycled things. People recycle cans. It's just a thing, you stick that in your recycling. In terms of bottles, it's a bit more of a hassle because you have to go to the bottle bank to recycle it. So, half of that just goes into general refuse. So I think as a country, we're geared up to work nicely with cans. We don't have a deposit system. I don't know if you got a deposit system in Austria or not.
No, for cans and for long neck bottles, there's no deposit system because we have something we have to pay as a company. There's something like a green fee, right, which is then we have to recycle it. But then when it comes to bigger bottles, 0.5, there is a SID system, because then you get it in a crate and you can bring it back. But I completely agree, especially in urban cities, you know, so as Vienna is an urban city, you know, people are willing and getting also the clue about cans, you know, they're more and more buying cans. Of course, it's more comfortable because you don't have to bring back the bottles, you know, you can recycle it because the system in Austria works really well, you know, and even every second street you can find something like a recycle box for PET bottles, for cans, for all that kind of stuff. So that's really, it works really well and nicely. So yeah, nothing speaks against the cans also for me. And I was only wondering if it will be the future that BrewDog overall will stop bottling. Can that be something which will happen?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a tough question. Would we stop bottling? But in terms of, you know, where our focus is from our UK site specifically, then we focus heavily on cans, and you know, the more that we push out, they tend to be can bias. In America and Australia, we only work with cans.
Okay.
I mean, the German market for us is different, where, you know, it's pretty much only bottles. But you know, how these countries change over time, no one really knows. You know, at the moment, for us in the UK, cans are a great thing. The system works well with cans, and we like working with cans. We like direct to consumer, or you know, if you pick up a 12-pack of cans from the grocery store, it's a very light thing compared to a 12-pack of bottles. You know, you're adding about a third of the weight again in glass, whereas you don't do that with cans.
And the good thing is you even can stock more in your fridge because it's easier to stock in 12 cans compared to 12 bottles. So it makes sense to buy cans. Yeah, that's the point.
And you can take them wherever you want to go, and you don't have, you can crush them down and stick them in your backpack if you're camping or whatever. So you don't end up with glass is a pain in the arse sometimes. So having cans,
yeah, that's
very,
true.
very easy.
That's true. So come a little bit out from Dogma, going back. Jason Bond left 2 months ago. So Jason Bond was the head brewer for all of those which are not familiar with this name, but Jason Bond was there since 3 years. He started together with you, Ohio, the brewery in Ohio. So he was responsible there together with you, I guess, and also then in Brisbane. And then 2 months left. So 2 months before he left BrewDog. And the question is now, you already have a new one, or you will replace this position internally with one of the second brewer or a younger brewmaster? Maybe you can tell me a little bit about the current situation.
Yeah, sure. So Jason was with us for just over 3 years, and he we loved working with Jason. We were super excited when he initially agreed to come and work with us. He was from background, jumped about a little bit in some incredible American breweries. Was it Oscar Blues first? I think that was his first break into beer. Moved around a little bit, most laterally before he came to us. He was at Firestone Walker, working under Matt Brynildson. So incredible tutor for him, and we were looking for somebody to take into our team that had seen some great growth in the States, just to help us grow as a business. From whenever that was that 17, 18, 19 roughly. I think he joined just back end of 2016 in Columbus, Ohio. But he didn't join Columbus, Ohio. He joined Scotland, but because of his visa thing, he had to work for a few months in Columbus till that was all finalized. And then he came out here. So it was really great because he was able to help set up Columbus when he was out there, working with Tim Hahn at that time out in Columbus. So, we really had a dream team of brewers out there for a while with Tim and Jason. And then Jason came out here and been here for 3 years, moved his family out from California. And as you can imagine, quite a culture shock to come from Paso Robles in California to Ellen in Scotland. So it was a case of, you know, he wanted to come out here, get some great experience, really helped us grow for 3 years. But, you know, the time was right for him to move back to the States, and he got a great new opportunity in a brewery out in California again. So yeah, they moved back just, well, less than a month ago. They flew back out to the States.
Okay.
So we've filled up Jason's role with a great guy, James Kemp, or JK as he likes to be called. He's originally a Kiwi, so from New Zealand, and been living in the UK now for, I'm not sure exactly how long, but at least sort of 14 years, I think, something like that. So I mean, it's a slightly weird situation. He's been in lockdown here since he started. So unfortunately, his family are still down in England. So he's had that kind of that weird thing of being locked up in Scotland. So he's looking forward, hopefully in the next week or 2 weeks, to be able to go back down and get
with his family.
But an awesome guy, great experience, worked in a load of great UK breweries and also some ones not in the UK. So yeah, he's been here about 8 weeks now and doing an incredible job. So we're really excited to have him on board.
Cool, perfect.
All the new things that hopefully you'll get to try in the next period. I'm just trying to think what he's been involved in. Loads of. I don't know if you got to try Lockdown Lager. That was a super small scale, so we only did it, and it was like pilot batch scale. But that was the first week he arrived. He'd been in like a couple of days, and then by the end of that sort of first week and a half of being here, we'd come up with Lockdown Lager, and then the tropical New England IPA that's going on at the moment. So those are really cool things that we're working with. Is now got his stamp firmly attached to it, which is great.
Was he also involved? No, it's not possible, because in this HM box there were also some nice beers, but it's not possible that he already was involved in one of those beers. No,
I don't think so.
No. Time-wise, it's not possible.
No, next time.
Next time for sure. And hopefully we will get soon some of his beers to Austria.
Yeah, definitely.
We will. If there's enough, that's the most important thing at the moment. If there's enough, then we will get some.
Yeah.
Recently, you have been very busy transforming the brewery in Scotland into one of the most environmental friendly breweries in the world. Is this project already done, or is there still something you have to improve, or what you recently changed to get the most environmental brewery?
Yeah. So it's a great question. So I as a business, when James and myself moved out from the brewery in Fraserburgh, so late 2012 we left the brewery in Fraserburgh. But it was that thing of I don't know, when you were a youngster, Marcus, what posters you had on your wall. Maybe the
on my wall.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, the football team or the
it was a football team, and it's still
bigger.
Yeah, it's a football team. It's a local football team. It's called Rapid Vienna, and I had lots of posters. And then, of course, I was always kind of a football fan, and there was also Ronaldo back in these days, but the Brazilian version, not the Portuguese version. Yeah.
Maybe one of Steffi Graf as well. I'm not sure, right?
It was Andrew Agassi, and not Steffi Graf.
So when we started the brewery in Fraserburgh, it's like, what was on my wall, and on my wall it was, I wanted to have a 5-vessel fully automatic brewing system, and I wanted it to be like super environmentally friendly, and when you start a brewery, it's not an environmentally friendly thing. Brewing in general is inherently energy intensive and water a heavy water user.
Specialty water, yeah.
Especially water. So from a start, it's a dream and it's an aspiration. But as you grow, and where we've been lucky in that we had the Equity for Punk investors with us over the years, we've been able to invest very wisely, I think, in some of the best brewing equipment that's around. And we've continued to do that as we've grown the business. But we've been tracking our metrics for a few years now, and we fare in the top probably 5%, less than 5% of what good is in terms of brewing efficiency, in terms of our water usage, in terms of our electricity usage, in terms of our gas usage, in terms of our chemical usage. We're really good, but really good. Now you're sitting in a forest behind you. Really good isn't good enough.
It's in my living room. It's always there. It's always there.
But it's that great reminder of, okay, well, you're in an industry which is inherently energy intensive. So what are you doing about it? It's not that you can't do anything about it. If you really want to, you can do something about it. So we worked hard on the basics of energy efficiency through our system, but now it's really taken the next step, and that's what the sort of BrewDog tomorrow is all about. Is we want to make sure that we're leaving as little impact, if any impact, on the earth at all. And that means trying to really think smart now and work with clever people and collaborate where we can to make sure that we're a carbon zero company. And that the few key things that we're working on immediately, especially in Ellen as our biggest facility. So this year we'll do, I don't know, 600,000, 650,000 hectoliters of beer from this facility. So it's a lot of beer. So we really need to sort as best we can the energy characteristics. So that's where I've been working super hard over the last period, and an ongoing thing now is really what that timeline is to carbon neutrality, or ideally better than carbon neutrality, but that's super hard to do. But we've got some great things in the pipeline now. So there's three wind turbines that are literally 2.5 kilometers from the brewery. So we will connect directly to them to give us the majority of the electrical requirement we need. And then the beauty of that is it's a direct connection. So it's not going back into a system which is inherently, again, inefficient and loses a lot of power across the whole network. It's taking it directly 2 kilometers with a big cable into the place that's using the energy, which is great. And the bigger one, which we're working on at the moment as well, is this one will take, this is the one that needs to be done by 2022, is the anaerobic digester part on the back end of our facility. So it's taking all our wastewater from our facility, which at the moment is spread to land. So it's not causing any damage. It gives a general agricultural benefit to farmers, but it uses a lot of traffic to do that. You're talking roughly 3,000 truckloads a year coming off the site to go to local farmers who then spread it on their land. So the best thing that we can do is tie in an anaerobic digester on the back of our site, where we're able to generate, it slowly sort of decomposes it, generates biogas. That biogas is then taken out. From the biogas, it can be cleaned, and then you get CO2 off that and biomethane. The biomethane can be injected back into the gas grid. The CO2 we can reuse in the plant. The green gas that's used we can use in our steam boilers. So it's a really cool one. And also on the back end of the whole process, the water that comes out the back, we can clean up enough to reuse in our process as well. So we can totally reduce our water consumption, and not a complete circular loop, but you're taking the majority back into your own. So it's like super cool. But yeah, it's a huge project, and one it's kind of 6 months underway at the moment. It's next phase will be planning permission and getting all the boxes ticked, etc. But it's a really cool one. So we're very excited about that. But if all these things happen, then yeah, by the end of 2022, then we should be in a very strong position. And we feel really strongly that it should be a short time frame. You know, a lot of businesses are saying, well, by the end of 2030 or the end of 2035, we'll be reduce our carbon footprint by 50%. I mean, that's bollocks. If anyone really wants to do something, they can do it, and you just have to set yourself really hard timeframes on it and push yourself to achieve it. So yeah, that's a big thing for us as a company. So that'll be the main driver from Ellen. But you know, likewise, we'll want to do similar things in Germany and America and Australia, where we have much smaller scale breweries. But you know, we want to make sure that all these things are in to do that as well. And solar, you know, solar will work a lot better in Brisbane than it does in Scotland.
Cool. Okay. I would say we do the next beer, and then we will go back to some questions from the guys which are watching and listening. So then we go now.
Oh, yes.
Abstract 24. Yeah, that's the right one.
How many of the abstract series have you tasted? Most of them.
No.
No?
Because the first ones were not really available in the Austrian market, you know, we were too slow. And then I would say we tasted it from 10.
Yeah.
10 was the first. Yes. Abstract 10 was the first, which we got in Austria.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's do 20. Okay, so I think on my presentation from a long time ago, hopefully I can show you another old thing. Let's see if it works. There we go. This was the original logo for Abstract.
Abstract, yeah.
Very simple. I thought we were going to have Michelin star restaurants like with the Abstract thing, beer and food. But unfortunately, James's chefing ability didn't allow that to be a reality. Maybe. Okay. So yeah, let's do Abstract 24, which yeah, it's a pretty big one. So 12% alcohol. Yeah, it works really nicely actually. So this is, I don't know how old this is now, maybe a few years old. 2.5 years old. It would have been late 2017, I think it would have been released. So
2017?
Yeah, late 17, I think. Off the top of my head. Anyway, it's about 2.5 years old. But yeah, again, you're talking about Scotch ale in terms of beer style. Baltic Porter again is another one that is a great style especially for Scotland. You know, I love that. I love these big, heavy malt-based beers. You know, you can see it's definitely a brown beer as opposed to a black beer. Super
red brown, something kind of red brownish, yeah.
I mean, smelling it just now, there's a little bit of age, a little bit of oxidation on the nose. It's 2.5 years in the bottle, so it's you know, it gives, I don't know, in my opinion, it gives a very slight hint of mint or menthol. But then once you get through that, it's very much, there's some coffee in there. The key for me in this beer, which I love, is the dark muscovado sugar, which is, I guess you guys get dark muscovado sugar, but it's like a super intense version of brown sugar. It's like really, really nice. If you like have yogurt and sprinkle dark muscovado sugar on, it's an incredible taste. So I love that slight acidity from the sugar, but also that really, really nice deep treacle-like flavor.
And it's good. There's a good description. Brewer's tip is do not substitute the muscovado sugar with white sugar. It's on this tortilla. It's written here. Yeah, it's written here.
Yeah, it's much more like treacle than it is white sugar. Yeah, it's nice. And then there's a bit of coffee in there as well. I mean, the coffee is not super evident now, and obviously a nice chunk of alcohol as well. 12% alcohol. So it sits out quite nice as a more sort of fruity note coming from the alcohol in there as well.
But why you decided to do this with a Baltic Porter? What was the reason to choose Baltic Porter, which is a bottom fermented porter?
Yeah, it's that, and then also a bigger one, So Baltic Porters tend to be higher alcohol as well. So when we're calling it something, it's 12%. It's it's not a London dry, so it's much more of that robust beer that can be aged for a period. And that's what we like in the abstract series is they tend to be, I don't know what the lightest alcohol one, but probably like 8.5% upwards. I think the strongest one's probably like 16 or 17% that we've done. So it's always a beer that we like to sell in threes: one that you drink straight away, one that you drink after a year, and one that you save for an occasion down the line. So yeah, it's great. It's a great experiment to understand how beers age of different styles, and they definitely don't always work. The longer you keep them, I've tried some ABO ones and what was there was can't remember, it was ABO 3 or ABO 4. I think it was like a Imperial Red Ale that really doesn't age that well. So
that kind of nice.
But it's definitely a fun way to drink beer. I always struggle to hold on to beer. If I have beer in my fridge, it tends to disappear. I don't have an incredible beer cellar that's got incredible.
Okay, that was something I want to tell you. Put it in the last corner in your beer cellar, and then maybe after years you will find it, and then it will be a big surprise.
I don't have that at home. I think my mum has some of the. When I stayed with my mum, I used to chuck stuff in her garage when I was whatever labeling at home or whatever. So she's got some that are pretty special, but I don't have any in my house.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if it's beer or whiskey or wine; it disappears quite quickly, I'm afraid.
Okay. So there's a question coming out about the abstract. Sylvia is asking, there is no best before date on this bottle. Is this normal? Yes, it is.
Yep. I mean, it's for what we just said. The whole point is that they're beers to be potentially aged. There's nothing, we know for a fact that there's nothing in that beer that's going to cause you any harm over any period of time. They're super, super robust beers. And it's an aging experiment as long as your willpower allows you.
I agree. So now, Martin, we will go to some questions. There's a question from Kevin, in between question from Martin. I love the TV series BrewDogs, and I heard a remark, new TV series. Any news? How it's going? Will it be?
I don't know, how much has he seen? We've put a whole heap of our newer stuff online.
Okay. Is it on the YouTube channel?
No, it's all on the website. So if you go to, let me try and find out where it is. On our BrewDog.com website, go to.
But Kevin, then it's the easiest way is go on the website and check if you also already can find, you know, the new series. So that's the easiest.
Yeah,
That's
so
the easiest part.
on the website, brewdog.com, then go to community, then go to the BrewDog network, and then the world is your oyster. Or you can just go to brewdognetwork.com, and it's there.
And it's all for free at the moment, huh?
Got for free forever.
Yeah. Forever, not only for. Okay.
So there's the BrewDog show. There's also there's the backdated BrewDog show as well. So I think all the episodes of the BrewDog show are now up, and then also all the other stuff that was on BrewDog TV as well, or the whatever the network was called, can't remember. So it's all up there for free for your viewing pleasure.
In your opinion, what was the best episode you did?
Best
the
or
most funniest?
The most fun ones to film were with Sam at Dogfish Head on the Dover Downs Speedway. That was fun. Also, what else was good? I think that was my favorite. I'll just give you one.
At least you gave me one. That's true. Can you get all the hops you need after Brexit, you think? Or will it be a little bit tricky and complicated? Or is it too far to think about this? Or maybe you're already prepared and the cellars are full?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of hop supply, we're good. You know, we work really hard with Yakima Chief Hop Union in the States, Washington Valley, Washington State, Yakima Valley. They're great hop growers, merchants. So we really love working with them. We've been working with them since 2008 when we caught them at the Brow exhibition, and we met Steve Carpenter over there, who's one of the family growers, but also he was the CEO of the company until maybe about 2 years ago, and now he's like more of a chairman position. But we love working with the guys out there. The farmers. We work directly with the farmers. It's a farm co-op, so we get access right back to the rootstock, and we've got some really cool things going on with those guys in terms of specific hop gardens that we can focus on ourselves. Or if we want to go down routes of hop flavor that we like, then we're working with an incredible grower there to do that stuff for us. So yeah, hops wise, we're all good, but we just love working with the guys over there. They're great.
And did the US facility helps a lot to get involved or to get more contact to the hop growers?
No, I mean, it's something we've been working on since 2008. I mean, the key things with that is just relationships. Every year we've been able to go across to Yakima. We've spent time with them and really help. But to the same extent, they're super proud of what they've been able to help us with and see us grow as a business. So it's very much a two-way street.
Cool. Patrick, he's a home brewer. He's asking Martin, even as a home brewer, I spend a lot of time developing and tinkering with my recipes. You decided to release all your recipes, sometimes even before your beer hits the shelves. What's your motivation behind this? So why?
A few things. I mean, one thing that Patrick's saying is it's probably the most important part of having a brewery or even home brewing is never sort of losing that search of perfection in your beers. It doesn't matter if it's something you've been brewing for a long time. You learn more as a brewer year on year in terms of technique, in terms of general brewing science as things evolve. So it's really important that you're constantly striving for perfection in terms of all the beers that you do. But what we love here at BrewDog is that two things: search for perfection, but also the innovation side as well. It's a real key for us as a business, and we work super hard on that. And that's where JK is playing an incredibly important piece in that puzzle, in that he's a new pair of eyes coming in with lots of experience. So great and transformative. In terms of the question about our recipes, then that kind of goes back to, I guess, the reception that we always had in America from American brewers, and that was they were always so open with us as a young company in terms of how they do things that they'd learnt, or contacts that they'd made. You know, yeah. The best experience we had was with hops with Sierra Nevada. So when we were really struggling for Simcoe in 2007, 2008, we reached out to the guys at Sierra Nevada and said, basically just a random email. We sent them some beer and said, guys, we're based out of Scotland. Here's some of our barrel-aged stout and our punk IPA. We're really struggling for 50 kilos of Simcoe. Can you guys help us get some Simcoe for this year? And I think they sent us across, can't remember exactly, but it's like 500 kilos of hops in total for free. So, they gave us I got like 4 or 5 bales of hops. And it's like, holy shit, that's more hops than we need for the whole year, and someone's just gifted us those hops. I'd love to understand, I'd love to visit them, I'd love to, see so much more about them. But that kind of gesture of kindness from Ken and his team is incredible, and it's something that stays with you forever. But so all we could do in return, we got some whiskey a container full of whiskey casks, and sent that back to them, and that started off some of their very early barrel aging experience. So hopefully, we're able to return some kind of favor to them. But that was a key for us in terms of, it's all well and good having whatever IP and all these things that you learn as a business, but if it's not actually helping other people push their game forward, then it kind of really is quite a selfish thing to hold on to. So we thought, what better way than to give all our recipes out at the end of every year to whoever can be bothered downloading them. And you can interrogate them, you can look through them, but it's everything that we work hard to achieve as a brewery. So if we know how hard it is to make those recipes, so if someone else wants to go through the same thing, they're more than welcome to.
Share his recipes. Okay, there are so many. Maybe one is interesting also for the Austrian market. Johannes is asking, which markets are served by the Berlin Eggstone Brewery? Only Germany? So far, yes.
So far, yes. Yep. And at the immediate moment, it'll stay like that. But we really want to open that up over a period of time. But the period isn't just now. Once everything starts to be more normal again, then we'll start working hard on that project again. But we've got a great team based in Berlin, headed up with Markus, but we've got Sebastian and Christian that's heading up the production side, and Sebastian used to work out in Scotland for a few years, so he knows our sort of ideology, culture inside out. So it's great to have him back. He's a Berliner, so it was super lucky that he ended up back, and he moved to a few other breweries since he left us a few years ago. But we're super excited to find out he was back in Berlin. So he's back with us in Berlin, heading up the brewing side and working hard with Christian and the packaging side to make an awesome team there. So over the course of a period of time, we'd really like to the key for us is get the beer as fresh as possible. So we want it to be made from the most local site. At the moment, it's not possible.
Last question before we go to the last beer. Strongest beer of the world. Who is now the leader in this competition? You or Schwarzbräu?
Whose question is that?
From a girl. That's the funny thing. A girl is asking this.
Okay. It's a great question. And one that will be modified by the end of the year.
Okay. So there will be an answer soon.
I'll leave it as watch this space.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the last beer.
Okay, so this is even older.
This is even older. It's first brewed in June 2013.
Yeah.
Then let's see what this beer can offer us after 7 years. It was stored in our cellar, right temperature all the time, no light influence. So normally it should be okay, but we will see.
That's good.
Oh, the aroma already is super nice out from the bottle.
Yeah. I was trying. What was the sister beer? I can't remember. It's annoying me now. So this was part of a 2-beer experiment, and I can't remember the other one.
Ooh. But when in the same year?
Time.
Everyday Anarchy.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
White wine, barrel aged imperial red saison.
That's it.
Okay. It was also brewed in June 2013.
Yeah. Well, you chose the right one to age.
Yeah, for sure, the right one is the better.
Yeah. I tried a bottle of that not even 3 weeks ago. But it's kind of blowing up a little bit, that one, in over time. So that was, what was it? It was a red saison aged in a white wine cask. Was that what you said?
Yes, white wine barrel aged imperial red saison.
Yeah.
This French wine, it was a French white wine.
Yeah, that was a problem. Definitely lucked out with this one. So this is, the imperial black saison aged in a red wine. So if you're talking, you want to age something, it's going to be a dark beer in a red wine cask. So awesome.
No, it's really nice. Get a little intense aroma of red currants, of these red berries in the nose.
Yeah, but also it's got that kind of nice, like it's called blackjack because it's got that slight licorice note. Also, it's got like that, the tannins from the red wine barrel are there, and it's awesome. That's the shit that's keeping it so good for what is a 7-year-old beer now.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good.
I love that.
I can send you some more bottles. If you need them, Martin, I have some left.
Really good.
That's super nice.
Carbonation's holding well in there as well. A lot of time over that age of time in bottle will start to lose a bit of carbonation, but the one I've got's perfect.
But that's kind of the good thing, Carbonation is gone a little bit and it's getting more smooth, it's more balanced. So it's really soft and it's a really perfect balanced thing. There's a question coming. Giovanni Matteo Timoni is asking which book I have. So it was back in 2017. It was, I think it was the only one which was ever published. It was at the AGM in 2017. There was this book available, but now everyone can download the whole book
online
on internet. So also you can get the updated version from 2018, 2019, and now there are already 400 sites or something like this. So because this book is only about 250, and now the newest version is about 450 sites. So it's getting bigger and bigger.
If you go on the website, BrewDog.com/DIY dog, it takes you to the page.
And then you get all the recipes and all the beers.
Yep.
So Birgit is asking, what is the beer style of the Black Jacks? It's a saison. It's a black saison. So it's a Belgian beer style, which is a black saison.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, using a saison yeast in a dark beer. It was a fairly straightforward dark beer, so not hugely complex. We wanted it to be, black in color, but not hugely flavorful in like all the kinds of chocolate, coffee flavors. So I think I can't remember. You've got the recipe there. You tell me what's in it, but I'd imagine it's probably like Carafa 3 and some flavors like that.
You mean from malt base?
Yeah, malt base.
Is extra pale, caramel, wheat, flaked malted oats, crystal 150, Carafa special, malt type 3.
Yeah. So Carafa 3. So all the darkness is coming from the Carafa 3. But Carafa 3 special is dehusked black malt. So you don't get the astringency. And then it's got that nice sort of cara and crystal note in there to give some flavor. But all the colors coming from the Carafa. So a simple base that you're really allowing to age nicely in that red wine barrel.
Cool. Martin, do you know already how many beers you have brewed from the beginning on until today? You have an idea? Roughly.
No, but I know in last year was 350 beers in the main brewery, different beers in the main brewery.
Only last year.
Only last year.
And the reason was fencing, huh? That was something like fencing was a big thing.
So that didn't include OverWorks. It didn't include the pilot kit. It didn't include specials in Columbus or Australia, or Berlin. So yeah, it's a lot of beer in total. But yeah, it's. I think the key thing is always, how we learn from what we're making, and a lot of things. I guess we made a lot of beer, so we're quite good at making good, consistent beer. But it's always the ones where you're pushing at the edge of what could be good, what could be really bad, are the ones that really help you move forward. That's fun.
Any plans to bring some beers from the States on a current base to Europe? Because I got some Jet Black Nitro cans and also this Mexican chili Nitro, the can Mexican chili porter. Mexico infused.
So we've done a couple of the nitro. So in America is the only place we can really can nitro beers properly. It's got a modified filler on the canning line. So in the UK, in Tesco, we've got Roaster Coaster, which is available all the time. I don't know if you have that in Austria or not.
I ordered it online, so yeah.
Would really like to, make that more of a thing, just in terms of being able to take over some nitro cans across from the States to Europe, because they're kind of fun. It works well in some styles. Generally, it works much better in dark styles because it's a bit harder to control the TPO in a nitro can where you've got a widget to fill up with gas and stuff. So
it's a widget inside the can. Sorry to interrupt you. It's a widget inside the can.
Widget, yeah. To get a proper nitro experience, you really need a widget in the can. So yeah, it's got a widget and it's not something we can do in the UK. So it has to come from the States. But I've got one here actually. That's the Roaster Coaster, which is the an Evil Twin collab. We do some cool stuff. Jet Black Heart Nitro, great. Jet Black Heart Espresso Nitro, great. Cocoa Psycho we did, awesome. So the problem is they'll end up just running nitro beers across there just to feed the UK and the European market. So we need to be selective in what we're taking over. But it's a really nice thing to add.
I think that nitro beers, there is a potential, especially in Europe and especially in the UK, because we can see some potential in Austria as well, because we're getting beers down from Colorado, from Chris, from Left Hand, and we see, that people are really liking it, they're enjoying it. So why not, especially when it comes to darker beers and this jet black hard series, these nitro versions, as you told, as you mentioned, with the espresso with coffee inside, they're phenomenal. So one last question, I would say, because it's getting already in time. You spend a lot of time together with us. Take the year 2015, for example.
I thought you were going to ask about seltzers.
The seltzers, I forgot.
First.
You're right. Hard seltzers. No, we had this conversation already. Sorry, guys. So there's a big new thing happening at the moment. At the moment, it's kicking off in Europe, and it's called hard seltzer. If anyone is familiar or spending a lot of time or some time in the States, then maybe you already heard about hard seltzers. It's something like the new thing in America, and now it's coming to Europe. And BrewDog decided, and they announced it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, that they will be one of the first companies in Europe which will start and focusing on hard seltzer. So Martin, maybe you can explain us and tell us a little bit about this new project, hard seltzer.
Yeah. So, myself and James and several others of the team spent a decent amount of time in America with the brewery across there. So we've been looking at this for a year and a half, probably, in terms of a project. Understanding what's going on. So I mean, the key ones in America, just brand names that you may or may not have heard of, are White Claw and Truly. White Claw is its own thing. Truly is part of the Boston Beer Company portfolio. And in America, it's made basically as a alcoholic fermentation of sugar, which is then filtered out to be taste of nothing, and then you add flavors into it, carbonate it, and call it hard seltzer. Our take on that was everything we tried was kind of not great, in that there's no real, it's basically like taking a beer that you don't really like, putting a bit of flavor in it and saying it's the best thing ever. So there's no real care or attention in the actual substance that's there. It's a nothing. So we looked at that for a while and we're like, okay, well, how do we understand that problem? How do we make that a good product that we'd be happy to drink ourselves? And that's the key in everything we do, is like, would you want to drink it yourself? Would you take it home and fill your fridge a third full of this, like the AF beer that we talked about earlier on? And the place we got to was off the back of a fermented substance. No, we wouldn't. What we did find that our Rogue Wave vodka out of our distillery is an incredible source of alcohol that tastes incredible in terms of if you drink it neat. So we're like, okay, well, what about if we take our Rogue Wave vodka as the base, and then we add our fruit flavors on top of that? How does that work out as a thing? And it tastes incredible. So we've been working for the last probably 6 months putting this together in terms of working with the Rogue Wave concept. Actually, maybe a little longer, probably 9 months. But the lockdown was definitely a focus for us in terms of actually, let's just get this to a stage that we can sell some, because we've been playing around with it. We weren't really that fussed with it. We're focused on beer and gin and everything else, but we loved it internally. And on our, we have a taste panel every Tuesday just on seltzer progression, and the majority of our tasters, that was our favorite session every week, was just got into this flavor session. And it's like, okay, well, this is the cactus and lime flavor, this is the blood orange and pomegranate, this is the XX. So it's like crazy flavors, but because it's sitting on top of the the Lone Wolf base. It's basically just having a cocktail in a glass. So we're absolutely loving it internally, and it's like, guys, we should really be getting this to an external forum as opposed to just enjoying our own time on a Tuesday afternoon and then Tuesday evening's bit of a write-off because nobody can get home. So yeah, we turned that into a more focused group to get that through to a final stage. So yeah, we've now got three flavors going live with a grocer really soon, and then we've had 4 flavors that have been in our online shop over the last few weeks, with 2 more coming in the next 2 weeks. So far we've done on the Rogue Wave vodka base, the kiwi and passion fruit, cactus and lime, the black cherry, and the white peach and mango, and then we've got blood orange and pomegranate, and pineapple and coconut happening in the next couple of weeks as well. But they're taste sensations. It's not a complicated drink. It's basically something that tastes super fruity and incredible. 5% alcohol, 90 calories per 330 ml can, and you don't really have to think about it. Grab one out of a fridge, and it's the perfect thing to be cutting your grass with, or having a barbecue, or eating your breakfast with. Maybe.
With a hard seltzer. To explain a little bit for the people here in Austria, hard seltzer, in the end, it's a sparkling water.
It's a weird one because in America, it's a fermented malt or sugar base, which is fermented to a high alcohol percentage. So say a fermented malt beverage to 10%, then watered back, and then add flavor to it.
Okay.
So it's really not a very exciting thing. The way we make it is that we take our vodka and we add our favorite fruit extract. So fruit extract is a weird term, extract, but extract's like the purest form of a flavor. So it's not like taking like random chemicals and firing it in. An extract is taking a fruit or a hop. Hop extract is taking a hop and then CO2 extraction. So you're pulling out the flavor and leaving the vegetative part behind. Same with a fruit extract. So you pull out, or a vanilla extract. So you pull out the flavor and you leave the vegetative part behind. So you're getting a pure fruit flavor in your Rogue Wave base, with incredible Scottish water, and it tastes great.
Okay, so hopefully we will get it soon in Austria, and the plan is for all, because there are already some people asking, it will be available hopefully in July, end of July, beginning of August should be possible.
I hope so, because we're packing it so it'll be in a slimline can, which for us is a new thing. So the packaging in the slimline can will be end of June.
Okay, so then if everything goes right, then we normally should get it in July, beginning of August.
Yeah.
So one last question now. Sorry that I forgot before this hard seltzer question, because in the beginning I was really interested in it, but now time flies. And then we're taking now Martin and James back in, let's say, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest difference, business-wise? And we forget now that we have this kind of shitty period with this coronavirus. What is the biggest difference business-wise between 2015 and now? What you would say? What was one of the most difficult things, most funniest things?
What happened in 15?
I don't know. It was only a year. You can pick one year. We can say between 2014 and 2020. Only to see, how fast it goes in the last couple of years. I only want to show and gave the people a little bit of an understanding, how fast this industry is moving now, and how fast it goes.
Okay,
Maybe
so
it's a better, it's 2018 to 2020.
let me show you. No, I wasn't prepared for this.
No.
Let me take one slide. Hold on. Back to there. See that one?
Yeah, we can see this one.
Okay, so that was when I was looking up something earlier on today about our water.
Okay.
Our water limits that we can put down to the local municipality. Irrelevant. Anyway, this was the May, so the year of Fraserburgh, May 2012, when we were still in the original brewery, to May 2013, when we were in the brewery I pointed out earlier, just phase 1 Ellen brewery. So in terms of what we produced in Fraserburgh in 12 was, yeah, so can you see this here? So
2,259 hectoliters in Fraserburgh in May 2012.
Yeah, in 2013 it was 3 times more.
What?
And then packaged was this number and this number, so 2.8. So roughly three times more between 2012, 2013. So May 2020. So this May we'll be looking at trying to pack like 67,000 hectoliters of beer here. So about 12 times what we packed in 2013. So that's, I guess, just in terms of scale of increase over that period of time, that's where we will be.
Over 7 years we are talking about, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's roughly the scale of where it is in Ellen at the moment, which is great, but it throws up so many challenges, and the key in all those challenges is the people in the team that you have around you that can do that. That's not 2007 when that picture there is myself checking the beer coming out of the tap, and James and me packing it. This is a serious team of people and an operation that can handle that amount of beer. So the key in that, or what's the difference, is the difference in that period of time is it's critical that my time and James's time are focused on the people to make sure that they carry out the process in the way we want them to carry it out, as opposed to the process itself. But not to say that the process isn't important, and that's where I spend probably a day and a half a week with JK, with Fraser, with Carl, our main people, and Jeff, Franz, our main people involved in putting all our new ideas together and general beer production together, to make sure that we have all these things absolutely nailed, because it's myself, James, Dave, our COO, and these guys that really help to push things forward. But at the same time, it's things like the Tomorrow Charter that are super important of how we make sure our business is turning, looking forward in a way that makes sure that the 2 people, or 2 people to 2,000 people have a job now, and then what does 2,000 people become in 10 or 20 years time? We've got a big amount of people and livelihoods to look after, which means we need to really focus and make sure that that we're on top of our game, and that we still care the same as we did back in 2007, 2012, 2013, 2020, and more importantly 2025. What does that look like in terms of us as a business? So it's a hugely humbling thing to be part of. We've been so lucky in terms of what we've achieved so far. We've been so lucky in terms of the team that we've built, so lucky with the team that we have. The guys here in Scotland have worked tirelessly when everyone's on lockdown. The people in production are here day and night, 24/7. We spent a lot of time making sure that they're safe and socially distanced and all that stuff. If they want to wear gloves or they want to wear face masks, whatever, they can do all that. But they look after themselves and make sure that we're getting beer out the door, which is super important.
Yeah, that's the future also of the company. If you know that you have people which are willing to work really hard, for the thing, and the thing is at the moment, keep the business alive, and so that's really important that you can see and that you have employees like those ones which we are working now 24/7, which is really important. So Martin, overall, I want to say thank you again. I hope you had a great time. Maybe you have a few words for the Austrian BrewDog supporters, and then I would say.
Definitely. I mean, we talk about how important the people are here and what we've achieved so far, and that equally goes the same to everyone in Austria. The amount of belief that we have from various countries, and what you've achieved there, Markus, in Austria, and being able to bring our beer across to Austria, and the love and dedication that you have for our brand, which is truly remarkable. The fact that you've saved this beer from 2014 for 6 years, specifically so we could taste it today, has been the highlight of my night. But we're so indebted for everyone for drinking our beer, for investing in our company. I'm sure there are a few EFBs out there tonight, hopefully, and everything we've achieved has been through that. I don't know, you could call it ridiculous belief in these two Muppets from Fraserburgh that they might be able to do something good. But the team that we've assembled now are showing that not only can we do great things in beer, but great things in business as well, in terms of that sustainability piece, and really hopefully be a shining light in terms of how good business can be done going forward. And that's minimizing how far beer travels. It's minimizing the amount of energy that goes into beer, the amount of water that's used in beer, and making sure it's drunk as fresh as possible and stored cold through that whole journey. And that's the key. If you don't enjoy your beer experience at the end of the day, then it's kind of pointless. So we do all we can. You do all you can, Markus, in bringing people that fantastic experience, hopefully, at the end of the day. So yeah.
Thanks. Yes, we do that. And I also can tell you, last week, Friday, it was first day that the bars get open again. We received an order of Punk 0.5 cans, and this beer was canned 9 days ago, and then it was super, super nice, and normally you only can get it super fresh at the brewery, but you have to imagine, 9 days after packaging, it arrived in Vienna. So yeah, and then of course people get some of the, I would say, freshest cans they ever got, and that also shows, how you guys really getting on freshness, quality, and how you package and how you ship out the beers. And so yeah, we are proud that we are partners of you, and it was a special night for me. For you, it was also a special night, which is good to hear, because you got this beer back in your hands. But yeah, all I can say, hope to see you soon, somewhere in Elm or who knows where. And stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks, Martin.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a great evening, and yeah, look after yourselves, and we'll see you at some point for a beer in person.
For sure. Okay, bye-bye.
Cheers.
Hi Martin. So, ganz kurz, es sind ein paar Fragen gekommen, und eine Frage war, warum wir zum Beispiel Punk IPA nicht verkostet haben. Normalerweise war es so ausgemacht mit Martin, dass wir eine Stunde mit ihm kommunizieren können. Mittlerweile ist es so, dass es wieder fast 2 Stunden wurden, und das ist nicht etwas, das selbstverständlich ist. Und deshalb haben wir entschieden, dass wir ganz einfach gesagt haben, okay, Bank IPA ist im Prinzip auch schon mit dem Ad-Bot, wie wir dieses Verkostung hatten, verkostet worden. Und dann haben wir gesagt, okay, Martin, wir kicken ganz einfach Bank IPA. Jeder hat diese schöne Dose zu Hause stehen, diese große Dose, und kann sie alleine zu Hause trinken. Es sind auch Fragen gekommen wegen einer BrewDog-Bar in Wien, die vielleicht ich besser beantworten kann als der Martin, weil der Martin eben mehr so von der technischen Seite kommt. Es ist so, dass immer wieder darüber nachgedacht wird, dass lauter darüber nachgedacht wird, von beiden Seiten. Und wir suchen eine Location und schauen wir mal, vielleicht wird es bald eine Bar in Wien geben. So, es waren sehr, sehr viele Fragen, es waren viele Zuseher. Wie immer, nicht alle konnten wir beantworten. Vielleicht werde ich jetzt einmal schauen, dann, ob es noch Fragen gibt, die zu beantworten sind. Und wenn nicht, hoffe ich, es war etwas Besonderes. Für mich war es etwas Besonderes heute, weil es schon etwas, glaube ich, Einzigartiges ist, mit einem der erfolgreichsten Brauer und gleichzeitig Geschäftsmänner diese Verkostung zu machen. Aber es geht weiter und am Donnerstag, am Feiertag, haben wir Launchium. Dann die nächste Verkostung ist am 4. Juni mit der Trummer Brauerei, wo wir auch in Axel Kispe sein Waldbier mitverkosten werden. Und dann folgen weitere internationale über Stormbridge-Flüge. Aber ich würde sagen, ihr schaut ganz einfach immer wieder auf unserer Seite nach. Haltet euch am Laufenden und es kommen noch weitere spannende Themen. Und in diesem Sinne sage ich schönen Abend noch und vielleicht bleibt jetzt nicht zu Hause sitzen, sondern geht in ein Lokal und trinkt nur ein Bier. Ich wünsche euch einen schönen Abend. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss.